Dan Rivera was not a man who believed in cheap theatrics. He wasn't the kind to use stage fog or sound effects to conjure chills. When he wheeled in the thick, reinforced glass case containing the infamous Annabelle doll, the room naturally fell silent. It was July 12, 2025, and Dan was hosting a sold-out paranormal showcase in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, a town already soaked in centuries of blood and ghost stories. But what made this event different wasn't the setting, or the guests, or even the doll. What made this night different, was that it would be Dan Rivera's last. He was considered one of the few remaining keepers of Annabelle, not just the fictionalized porcelain version from the Conjuring films, but the real one, a Raggedy Ann doll, old cotton and red thread, said to house something far more dangerous than just evil. Dan had trained under Ed and Lorraine Warren, and since their passing, he had taken it upon himself to continue the containment rituals. Latin prayers. Holy water. No direct contact. Ever. Annabelle was never to be taken lightly, and Dan never did. Until that night. Guests later reported an odd feeling in the hotel ballroom. Some claimed their phones glitched out completely. A woman fainted in the second row. Another said she saw the doll blink. Dan smiled through it all, but one attendee noticed that during the final prayer, he stuttered. Just once. A small lapse. Something uncharacteristic for a man so meticulous. After the event, hotel staff saw Dan push the Annabelle case down the hallway to room 313. That was the last time anyone would see him alive. The next morning, when Dan failed to check out, hotel security opened his room. He was sitting on the edge of the bed, eyes wide open, lifeless. No signs of struggle. No trauma. Just a deep, paralyzing stillness. And the doll, gone. The glass case that had housed Annabelle for decades was shattered, from the inside. Pieces of it lay across the room, as though something had exploded outward. On the pillow beside Dan's body was a scrap of hotel stationery. The words, written in what appeared to be a child's hand, simply read, "She said you forgot." Security footage from that night revealed something even more disturbing. At precisely 2:59 a.m., the hallway camera outside Dan's room flickered and went dark. For exactly 44 minutes, there was nothing. When the footage resumed at 3:43 a.m., a small figure, maybe 3 feet tall, was seen walking barefoot down the hall. Its features were obscured. No eyes, no face. Just a shape, and then nothing. The figure turned a corner and disappeared, as though melting into the wall. Police investigated. Toxicology was clean. Autopsy listed sudden cardiac arrest. The case was marked natural causes and quietly closed. But for those who knew Dan, and for those who believed, the explanation was a lie. Dan had warned others about breaking protocol. About disrespecting Annabelle. He had always said, "She doesn't kill with rage. She waits. And then she erases." The museum in Monroe, Connecticut, where Annabelle was originally stored, confirmed the doll never returned. They never received her. No one knew where she went. Weeks later, a grainy photograph surfaced on the dark web, a doll, vaguely like Annabelle, sitting on a rocking chair in what looked like a farmhouse porch. But this one had glass eyes. A sharper smile. A caption beneath it read, "She's adapting." Paranormal forums exploded. A Reddit user under the handle at Beneath the Stitch claimed they had tracked down Rivera's last prayer recording and found a mistake. Dan had accidentally recited the binding prayer left-handed, symbolically reversing the seal. They claimed this opened the vessel. That it gave her permission to leave. TikToks began to surface from guests who'd attended the Gettysburg show. Blurry videos showing flickering lights in their homes, faint whispering at night, strange scratches appearing on doors. One man posted a 6-second clip before deleting his account entirely. In it, he sits pale, shaking, whispering, "She doesn't forgive. She only waits. Behind him, a red thread slowly drifts across the screen. Rivera's body was cremated within 72 hours. No funeral. No family statements. All his online accounts were wiped, completely erased, as though he had never existed. But room 313 remains sealed to this day. Hotel staff refuse to enter. Guests claim they hear tapping from inside, always around 3 a.m. Some say if you stand outside the door long enough, you'll hear breathing. Others say the lock rattles by itself. But no one dares to open it. Because everyone knows what was kept inside. And what was released. Annabelle isn't just a story anymore. She's out there. Evolving. Watching. Waiting. And if you ever hear someone say they have the original Annabelle, you ask them one question: where did she sleep the night Dan Rivera died? Because maybe, just maybe, she never left the room at all.